give me a second. Edit this out, please, because I'm an idiot. Hello and welcome to the third Thursday review. I do realize that on Tuesday of last week, we did say that we would release this 3 Thursdays from the date of the Humble Choice review or Humble Choice release, but I happened to get through all of the games sooner, and it happens to be the actual third Thursday of the month, so we're going to go ahead and try to get you guys content here sooner, so you have more chance to watch what we think of every game. And if you are interested in purchasing the games yourself, you are more than welcome to. Right, buddy? Yeah, right. Okay, he agrees. So as we've done in the past, we are going to start at the bottom and work up. We're gonna do a countdown. So there are 12 games in the Humble Bundle Choice program. You get all 12 games for $13.99. Overall, we do feel like it is a great purchase, and there are some rare surprises in this. This month we did decide we're going to start a new grading scale. So each, to give it a scale of how playable did we feel it is, would I buy it? And of course, all of these are my personal opinions and my personal thought based off of my likes and dislikes. So don't hold that to yourself. Would I play it again? Was it what I expected? And what is my overall score? And then that gives us a total, which is how we decided what place it comes into. Where things were tied, we tried to go with the overall score. And if the overall scores were tied, it's based off of my opinion and everything. So we're going to start at spot number 12. This month in the 12th spot, I have Heaven's Vault. Heaven's Vault was an interesting concept. For me, though, it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't really my style of a game. It was definitely a story game. It tried to have some sort of historical aspect to it. Kind of tried to make you feel like an archaeologist, but I just couldn't get through much of it myself. It was not really my style and play style. So with Heaven's Vault, I felt the playability because I didn't like the style. I didn't like how it was played. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It wasn't necessarily the game for me. It wasn't unplayable, but it wasn't my style of playing. Next up on the would I buy, unfortunately, the style of game, what it was offering, wasn't for me, so it got a 0 out of 5 on would I buy. Play again. I don't plan on playing it again, so that's another 0 of 5. Was it what I expected? Not really. I don't know what I was expecting. This month we looked at the games. Some of them looked interesting, but when we looked at it, the big game was PGA Tour 2K21. So we were like, okay, there's nothing that's like jumping off the page that like is on my wish list or anything. So it got a 2 out of 5 on what expected, and overall it was again not a game for me, not a game that I want to play again. It's definitely an interesting game, something that maybe you want to check out at some point in time if you're into things that are very story driven. So overall, the overall score, total score, was a 6 out of 5 for Heaven's Vault. So that's our number 12 game, bringing us to our number 11 game, which is Atomic Crops. Atomic Crops came in for a total score of 10 out of 25. It was not a bad game. When we were looking at the games originally, we felt that maybe it was a Stardew Valley mixed in with a Fallout. It wasn't quite that. It was definitely goofy. It kind of had a little bit of a more free roam feel of like maybe Plants vs. Zombies, except you're not fighting the plants. it has that kind of goofy style. Playability wise, it's definitely within an 8-bit kind of style, which is really fun. Not hard, not too difficult. The controls were a little confusing. It took me a couple times going to actually understand what I had to do. There was a tutorial which helped, but once I got into the game, I didn't realize I had to harvest the crops, or I didn't realize when the crops were necessarily ready. So it doesn't really go through all of that. So it made it a little more difficult to kind of get into the hang of things. I think if I played it more, it would get up there. Would I buy it? Probably not. I gave it a 1 of 5. I think it's normally a $20 game, so I'm glad that it wasn't a humble choice. But it's not really my style of game, and it's nothing that would pique my interest of I need to get this game. Play it again. I gave it a 2 of 5 on Play It Again. If I was bored, if I needed something to do in the background and I didn't have anything else, or I needed to waste a little bit of time, I might throw it up, but it's not on the top of my list to come back to. Then that brings us to was it what I expected? Not really. Again, it was kind of advertised to look more like a Stardew Valley meets Fallout, and it didn't really feel like that. So that got a 2 out of 5, and my overall opinion was another 2 out of 5, giving it the total of a 10 out of 20. So it wasn't a bad game. It definitely would probably pique some interest. So definitely nice to have it in the bundle as something extra, but was not on the top of my list personally. Which brings us to our number 10. Yes, we're at our number 10 game. At number 10, we have Frame. Surprisingly, this came up a little bit. Unfortunately, I myself could not play the game. I have it on Steam. I couldn't launch it. I tried multiple times. I uninstalled. I reinstalled. I just had problems with it. But we loaded it up on Jen's computer and it ran fine on there. So we did give it a score. It did end up coming up from a 0 out of 25 for being completely unable to be played to a 11 out of 25 overall. Breakdown of which is the playability. We gave it 3 of 5. Jen helped me with this particular one because she played it more. It seemed like a more simple Flash game that you would play online back in the 90s, early 2000s. It had a cool puzzle concept where you moved some scenes around in almost like a comic book to change the story, which was kind of cool. Would I buy it? So playability was a 3 out of 5. Would I buy it? I gave it a 2 out of 5. If it was really cheap, maybe $1 or $2 for the collection, maybe as something to play through quickly. But it's not like I have to have the game. Play again. Unfortunately, I can't play it on my computer. Jen said she possibly would, but wasn't really her style. So we gave it a 1 of 5 on Play Again. And then, was it what we expected? We gave it a 3 out of 5. It did kind of advertise that kind of thing. Fortunately, again, I couldn't play it for as long as I would like to. We only played it for a very little bit of time. So again, we're not going to have we don't have a gameplay recorded for this particular game. So I apologize on that. Again, I couldn't grab it. Jen took a quick look at it while I was sitting with her so we could give it a rating. And then overall, it was a 2 of 5. Large factor in that was my ability to be unable to play the game and on Steam, and it was kind of a simple Flash style game in our opinions. So that's our number 10 spot of Framed. If you're looking for a kind of goofy puzzle game that you can move tiles around yourself, definitely check it out. It's pretty cool concept. It just wasn't up our alley this month. Which will then bring us to our number 9 spot. In 9th position, we have Swords and Swagger. Swords and Swagger also came in at a 11 of 25 because I was able to play it. It kind of ranked a little higher than Framed. Sword and Swaggers was kind of cool in the aspect of some of the sounds reminded me of Banjo-Kazooie sounds, so it brought me back to the classic N64 games that I grew up with. Playability wise, was a 4 of 5. It's pretty easy to get into. It's pretty easy to learn. It felt a little idleish here and there. Would I buy? Unfortunately, this one got rated as a 0 out of 5 on Would I Buy. The game had a cool concept, was kind of fun. One of the issues I had with it, though, is that it felt very mobile app-like. So having a price to it and feeling like an app that different apps that I've played that are free, even though those are littered with ads, I'm kind of in the boat of like, it felt more like an app. So that's a lot of why it did not score as highly as some others. Play again, I gave a 2 out of 5. If I was bored, needed something to do, wanted to kind of idly pass time, because there was a lot of idling in the game here and there, having to wait on stuff to make, sending people to do things. So yeah, I'd play it again, but it's not on the top of the list of things that I'd play again. Was it what I expected? Not quite. I got a 3 out of 5. I was kind of expecting a little more crafting to it, a little more in-depth kind of ability. I wasn't quite expecting an app-like game, so that had an overall effect in the grading process, my grading process. And overall opinion is a 2 of 5. Again, there's lots of games like it that I could get for free as an app. It would make a great app on a phone, but I didn't quite feel like it was great for the PC, which is where I was playing. Again, if you disagree with some of our ratings, please let us know in the comments below if you picked up the games yourself or the bundle. But we are rating based off of our opinions, particularly my opinion, because I'm the one who is playing these games, to give you my thoughts. So that's going to bring us to our number 8 spot. At number 8, we have Not For Broadcast. Not For Broadcast came in with a score of 12 out of 25. Again, that's a overall score being added together from our 5 categories. It was an interesting game. It gave me the feel of similar to like a Papers, Please kind of game, where you're controlling some things. Now this one, you're in charge of a TV news station's broadcasting, and you have to bleep things out and choose what goes up on air and make sure the audience is watching and all that fun stuff. So playability wise, I gave it a 3 to 5. There was a lot of things that you had to get in order, learning all of the controls that you have to, I felt could take some time. Most of my playthrough was just the intro to learn the game, which took a good like 40-ish minutes, so maybe 30 minutes. But it was an interesting game, definitely an interesting concept, kind of a take on you're the one choosing what's coming in and going out. Playability, I got a 3 out of 5. Would I buy? I gave it a 2 out of 5. I'd much rather watch someone else play like Papers, Please or Not For Broadcast. If I was playing it, it would be more to see maybe what doing something different than the person who I watched playing it did, so that I could see a different ending. So it wasn't necessarily on the top of my list of games that I would personally buy for myself. But if you're into playing Papers, Please or something, it might be something that interests you. Play again. Again, it's a 2 out of 5 because I felt like if I'm going to spend the time, I'd rather watch someone else do it to understand the controls a little better than I do. Wasn't what I expected. I gave a 3 out of 5. It was a little bit of a surprise. Not entirely what I thought it would be. There's a lot more to it than I thought would be there, so it was pretty good, but not my cup of tea, which gives us our overall score. My overall score for the game is a 2 out of 5. Again, it's not my personal cup of tea, but if you enjoy games like Papers, Please that have that style of making choices and reviewing everything, high-paced kind of games, it might be up your alley. So overall, that gives us a score of 12 out of 25, bringing it in at our 8th slot. Moving on, then we're getting up into the nitty-gritty. At number 7, we have Narita Boy. Narita Boy was actually quite interesting. It had a good 80s classic, like arcade gaming kind of style. I was using a controller for it. It was both controller and keyboard integrated. The keys were not intuitive to me, but I was using the controller. Playability wise, I gave it 3 out of 5 because if you don't have a controller, it might be a little difficult for you. So just keep that in mind. Would I buy it? I gave it 2 out of 5. It's not something that's necessarily up my alley. It did kind of give a throwback to early gaming. Had references to floppy disks and different kind of moves, and it was really cool. But it's one that I wouldn't necessarily buy at the sale price, but if it was on sale, I'd probably pick it up. Play it again, I gave it 3 out of 5. I'm interested to see what the story is, and kind of see where that goes, but it's not necessarily at the top of my list to try to finish and play next. Wasn't what I expected. It gave 80s vibes and gave the feel of needing to save a person through digital games, and had that classic 80s retro feel to side-scrolling 8-bit feel to it. So it got a 5 out of 5 on what expected. It's what it was advertised as, and I feel that it hit the nail on what was advertised. And finally, my overall opinion of the game was a 3 out of 5. Overall, I think that it was cool. I think that it was fun. It definitely had some throwbacks. If you missed the 80s style of games and that retro arcade feel, definitely check it out. You'll probably enjoy it if you're into the 80s retro style games. Which again gives it a total of 16 out of 25, placing it in our 8th position. 7th position. Sorry, I lost track. 7th position. So 7th position was Narita Boy, bringing us continuing to barrel on and into our 6th position game, pulling into those top 5 games. Halfway through here, at number 6 is the title game for this month, is PGA Tour 2K21. At our 6th spot. PGA Tour 2K21 is a PGA game. It's a golf game. I mean, it's the title kind of golf game of the year. Like any sort of sporting game, like Madden or NHL or the NBA 2K games. It was a golf game. Playability wise, I mean, it was controller compatible, but the mouse and keyboard keys were really easy. I have played it a little more because it's a cool, easy, relaxing game to just hit some balls and see how you do on a 18-hole golf course without having to go actually do that. So playability wise, I give it a 5 out of 5. It's easy to play. I would expect that of a PGA Tour game. Any of those ESPN kind of games, you kind of expect that over the years, considering they release a new one every year, they'd be playable. Would I buy is where this game kind of came down. I'm not much of a sport person myself, so it is not in my ballpark. With a $60 price tag on it, it's definitely not a game that I would grab. Most sports games, I'm not such a sports fan that I have to have it the year it comes out. I will wait 2 years to buy them until they reduce in price significantly. I know that each year they add new features and whatnot, but that's where it is. Play again, I gave a 3 out of 5. I have actually played it some more since I tested it. It is quite relaxing and it's quite easy to use and fairly user-friendly. So it's kind of in that halfway point, but because it's easy to use, I don't mind pulling it up when I have a little bit of spare time to just relax, and I don't feel like really putting my mind to much. Was it what I expected? Yes. I got a 5 out of 5. It's a PGA game. I expected to play golf. I expected to hit balls. I expected to play in tournaments, golf tournaments. I know PGA games wise, they're definitely fun on like the Wii or the Kinect, and it wasn't too bad on the computer either. So, in my overall opinion of it was a 2 out of 5. Again, I'm not much of a sports person, but if it's something that you're into, it's definitely worth buying. Humble choice just for PGA 2K21 at the price range of $60 normally. Retail, getting it with 11 other games for $13 is definitely worth the buy if that's something you're into. Which is going to bring us in to our top 5 games for September of 2021. Now, place is Fort Triumph. Triumph was a pretty cool action turn-based RPG that had a permadeath kind of system within it. Not permadeath to the sense of, well, if all of your characters die, you're done, you have to start over. But if a character dies, they're dead. So you have to kind of recruit new people to replace them and level those people up, which I thought was pretty cool. The music was really good, so it was just really fun, pretty easy to learn. Playability wise, I gave it 5 out of 5. It had a really good tutorial to it. It introduced you to everything before it really threw you in there. It had an interesting story. It was a lot of point and click, which made it pretty easy to circumnavigate. Would I buy? I gave it a 3 out of 5 on. It's not one that's like jumped out to me right away, but after playing it, after seeing it a little bit, it kind of moved up there a little bit, and if it was on sale for a little bit, I would definitely grab it. I think its normal price is about $20, so being able to grab it in the bundle is a great option. Would I play it again? I gave it a 3 out of 5. It's one that I could play idly a little bit. Wasn't like necessarily completely pressing. I would definitely play it again. It's not one that I feel like I'd want to stream or anything, or like I need to finish, but it's also one that like I'm interested to see what happens. There's a lot of replayability to it as well by choosing other factions and skirmish mode. And then wasn't what I expected. It advertised as kind of a silly action RPG that has some of its own challenges, which is exactly what it delivered. So what I expected, it got a 5 out of 5. And I, again, realized that a lot of my bullet points here can be kind of somewhat subjective to my opinions, and I'm okay with that. That's okay. That's our thoughts on the games here. So my overall opinion of Fort Triumph was a 3 out of 5. It was definitely pretty good. I very much enjoyed it. I would come back to it here and there if I wanted something to try to hit and run with, but it wasn't necessarily my top game of the month. So it ranked at 3 out of 5, giving it a total of 19 out of 25. So again, coming in at 5th was Fort Triumph. Definitely worthwhile checking out, which will bring us to our 4th Game that comes in 4th position for this month of September 2021, which is going to be West of Dead. Now, this game was a little bit of a surprise for me. It was not what I was expecting at all. The graphics for it were really cool. I felt like I stepped into a graphic novel. It just had that feel of a comic book, a graphic novel. You play as someone who's dead in purgatory. It has a real Wild West kind of feel to it as well. I was enjoying running dual pistols. So we'll go ahead and get right into our scoring guide. On playability, I did give it a 2 out of 5 because the keyboard controls weren't really intuitive and all over the place. And I know I probably could have remapped them, but I have a controller, Xbox controller here. Switch over to that. That worked really well. There's a lot of jumping from crates to crates. It takes a little bit to get into, but I really enjoyed it myself. Would I play it again, or would I buy it? I would most certainly buy it. I'm a huge comic book graphic novel fan. Being able to play a game that I feel like I can jump into the game and feel immersed by the game is such a rarity. It's not what I expected at all, in a good way. So what I expected, I gave a 4 out of 5. I thought it was going to be a cheesy, like, gun shooter game, but it was a graphic novel, gritty tale that has multiple dimensions, and at one point I thought of Wendigo in Purgatory. So I got a 4 out of 5 on what I expected. Play again, it's a 5 out of 5. It's definitely one that I want to hop back into. I want to see what happens. I want to see if I can get the whole way through a story at some point and go from there. Not sure if I'll do that as a let's play or not. Maybe a one-shot kind of game, just so that you guys can see a little more of what's going on there. But I definitely play that again for myself. So my overall rating then for the game was a 4 out of 5. So again, the only reason this one didn't come any higher was because of feeling like it really needed to play on the controller. If you don't have a controller, that definitely makes it more difficult. But it had great graphics. It had a great story to it. Every time you had to go back to the beginning because you died, it kind of reset, but you have certain things kept coming along with you. So it's very much like a roguelike game, and it was just fun. So at our number 4 position, again, is West of Dead. Like I said, I have someone who's trying to help me here. I think he just wants some attention. So be sure to say hi to Scotty in the comments below. So after West of Dead comes our 3rd position game, which is Roki. Roki definitely isn't my normal style of game. It's very much of a story, puzzly game in which you kind of are looking for things to pick up. But I'll get into why I rated it as high as I did here in a second. Playability, I gave it 3 out of 5. It can be played with both the keyboard controls and the mouse and the controller. I ended up using the controller because I felt it was a little easier to do with the controller, but the keyboard and mouse controls weren't too bad themselves. Would I buy it? Actually, I'm going to save some of these others for here in a second. Overall score for this one is a 4 out of 5. It had some great folklore, Scandinavian folklore, and Norse kind of folklore. So there was references to Jodin and other kind of Scandinavian things. If you have joined us recently on our channel, we are starting to get into a creature features that some plans for that are to look at folklore and critters of folklore and tales like fairies and other things. So getting to dive into some Scandinavian folklore, which isn't as seen or talked about as much, was really kind of cool, which just played to my fairy tale heart. So would I buy it? I absolutely would. would I have thought so before playing it? No, but after playing it a little bit, if I got to play a demo and whatnot, just for the folklore and the tales and the info, the lore behind it, and the amount of time they put into like understanding the lore and telling a good tale with that. I didn't get very far into it, but I plan on playing it more. So yeah, Play Again is a 5 out of 5. It may definitely end up being one that comes up on a Let's Play. So watch out for that, because I think that would be a very interesting Let's Play game just for the folklore and to nerd out on folklore. So what I expected, I gave a 4 out of 5. It was definitely more than I expected, which in a good way. Again, I absolutely love the folklore and the way that they told the story. And overall, total with everything together, 8 out of 20 out of 25 as well. Again, just because of the folklore, it kind of pulled a little bit further into position than West of Dead, but both games were absolutely spectacular. Much better than I thought, and normal price isn't really that wasn't really too expensive on either of those, but getting in a humble bundle, choice bundle, is a score in my opinion, which will then bring us to our next game, our number 2 position, which is going to be Orwell. Orwell surprised me in liking it so much. Orwell kind of was more like being almost a hacker for the government, doing some prying to get information, had an interesting story to it, and what information you put into the system has an effect on what happens in the future and going forward. Playability, I gave it a 4 out of 5. There were some points, there is a lot to kind of navigate, but it's not hard to learn. It's just a lot of personal choices and deciding what you think is the best truth to provide. It's definitely one of those games where the truth of information is important, and doing your research as to what is the greatest truth is definitely an important thing to do. So when I buy it, I gave it a 3 out of 5. It's kind of in that not for broadcast scale. Most of the time I'd rather watch someone else play it, but this one, for the Play Again, it's definitely a 5 out of 5. It's one that I'm at least thinking about recording and doing a series of for our YouTube channel, if not doing a live stream of it as well. It's intriguing and very modern, and it had some elements to it that I didn't expect, which was fun. So its overall score, to round it out, was a 3 out of 5. I realize the overall score is less than Roki, but it's definitely one of those that is up there. I think Orwell and Roki kind of tie for that second spot. Definitely very good games. Definitely recommend it. I definitely, if you haven't already, I'd follow our link in the description below so you can help support us and grab that Humble Choice bundle for yourself for these 2 games alone. And I haven't even got to the number 1 spot yet. So, Orwell, definitely a little bit of a surprise. Not a game that I expected it to be, per se, but it was definitely gave that vibe of like, Josh on Let's Game It got out, played a similar game that was kind of like being a tech support. I don't remember what the game's called, but it kind of gave that kind of vibe to it. But your government official kind of digging through the back web of the internet to get information and provide the best knowledge you can. So yeah, overall score on that one was a 4 out of 5, and it was a 4 out of 5. I got my spots fixed. What I expected was a 4 out of 5. Play Again was 5 out of 5. Overall, a 4 out of 5. So you could probably expect us to do a series over on our YouTube channel, over here on our YouTube channel, utilizing that. So, last but not least, in our top 1 position, drum roll please. In our number one spot is Neon Abyss, the second game of the Humble Choice for this month. Neon Abyss was a very colorful, very soundful, techno-y sounded game that just was fun. I've played it more since I played it originally. It's definitely kind of got that 8-bit in a good way feel. It fits the game. Playability wise, I gave a 5 out of 5. The controls were really easy to get into. Got both keyboard and controller compatibility. I actually found that I prefer the keyboard over the controller on this one, but either one can be used. Great graphics, great music. Would I buy it? It's a roguelike kind of game. It's got fun guns, it's got some fun concepts, easy to navigate, really playable over and over again. So I'd absolutely buy it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 on being would I buy? Play the game again is a 4 out of 5, like I said. I've played it again a couple times. It's really good to just throw it on if I'm like winding down the day and just want to shoot some stuff, but don't want to get too intense on it because I just run around the different rooms, shoot the things that come in, collect what you can, find the boss, kill the boss, go to the next room, rinse and repeat till you get through to the last dungeon and kill the boss with the character you're using. Go back to the beginning, get some upgrades to help make that better, choose a new boss to fight, and keep going. Roguelike game where you rinse and repeat a lot. Wasn't what I expected. It said it was a roguelike game, had lots of neon colors, lots of fun activities, lots of guns and combinations and items to pick up. So yeah, it's got a 5 out of 5. And overall wise, this was my favorite game to play this month. I'm going to be keep on playing it. I don't think it's one that's going to come up as a Let's Play or anything, but it's one that I just enjoyed to the point where I had a dream that I was kind of in the game the other night. So definitely a game to look out for and grab if you are into the roguelike games. It was definitely a really fun one to play. And normally I think it's about $30 is what Humble Choice bundle was saying. So grabbing it now while it is in the Humble Choice is the way to go. So that will do it for our September 2021 in-depth review. Make sure to join us next month on the first Tuesday of the month as we do our blind reactions. And then we are trying to get our review to you as soon as possible. Reviews come out on Thursdays, and on every Thursday we are having either our review or a creature feature on the weeks that we do not put out our review. So if you haven't already, go check out our past videos like our creature features and our live plays. We go live every Tuesday night with right now Mass Effect Legendary Edition, but we do have plans for other games in the future. So if you have some games you would like to see us play on our own live, you can do so. We do stream live here on YouTube as well as on Twitch and on Facebook at D&D and Things. You can also find us on all social media platforms at D&D and Things. That's with a Z at the end. If you like what you've seen today and you want more of our content, make sure you hit that like button in the face. You hit that subscribe button and you hit the bell button so you know when we post up new videos or go live. In the meantime, make sure you stay being a beautiful, unrepeatable miracle, also known as a bomb, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.